Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about DMHA and DMAA for ADHD. Before I get into that, I am not a chemist and I am not a doctor. I do not encourage the use of any substances, legal or illegal, and this video is strictly for educational and entertainment purposes only. So DMAA is a banned supplement. It was a supplement. Now it's just a banned substance for most athletic proceedings. It was banned after a lot of people in the military decided to take it before doing cardio in the heat, and they died because they took, I think it was like 7 times the recommended dosage, and then went into extreme exhaustion training. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about the persecution of DMAA, I don't really know what does, but that's kind of more of my opinion. DMAA is really strong. People always made jokes about it being comparable to crack. Obviously, that was a joke, but it was in many pre-workouts in the earlier 2000s. And then that got banned, and then they came out with another one called DMHA, which is pretty comparable to DMAA. Some people say it's a little weaker. Some people say it's stronger. It's supposed to act on the same pathways, overall being extremely stimulatory. And some supplements have gotten notices from the FDA saying they are not allowed to put this in their supplements. For example, I didn't know this, and I was looking into putting it into my ADHD supplement because I found it to be very potent, and it is the FDA does not consider it efficacious for use, so I did not put it in. I believe Derek actually had it in one of his old supplements. Derek from More Plates, More Dates. One of his old supplements that he had to stop producing because it was getting more increasingly stronger and stronger legislation against it. But DMHA and DMAA are both very powerful. I think they're considered gray market now because you're allowed to own them and possess them, but they're not allowed to be sold as supplements. And so people are just selling them as like research chemicals pretty much, which is usually the way around it. That's how people got around with SARMs and all that jazz until, it was just blatantly clear that most of the SARM companies were just advertising supplements. But when it comes to DMHA and DMAA, what can you notice? Extreme energy. It will wake you up. It is very potent. My formula that I had taken, it's oddly enough, DMHA is still in some supplements. There's actually a supplement by High Tech Pharmaceuticals that I have taken that still has it in it, and you can still purchase it. And the FDA never sent them like a notice to stop selling, so I guess they just never did. But so the DMHA in there, I think, is about 100 milligrams to 100 milligrams of caffeine, which I think is way too much. It's very, very powerful. It's like a kick in the teeth. And overall, I would say it's very comparable to, I don't even know, hardcore stimulants. It's extremely noticeable. I would say it's comparable to ephedrine and caffeine mixed together because I've taken ephedrine for my asthma and I've had caffeine with it, and that'll wake you up too. They're both very powerful stimulants, but DMHA, DMAA are technically both banned as supplements, but again are, to my understanding, available as research chemicals. I'm not a lawyer though, so don't take my word on that. Always do your own research. Now, when it comes to ADHD, now, will it be effective in helping to treat the symptoms of ADHD? And I really want to hear some anecdotes on this. Personally, I think yes, specifically because it releases massive amounts of dopamine, just like amphetamines do. It's extremely stimulatory. It goes down the same idea that in the dopaminergic pathway of the brain, it will stimulate you so much that it will make boring things seem like they're worthy of being hyperfixated on. And frankly, I noticed that one of the biggest drawbacks of DMAA and DMHA is tolerance. Apparently, people notice tolerance in as few as 2 days, or even as 1 day. So like they take it one day and they take the same dose the next day, and they don't feel nearly as much of a kick. I've heard people say they have to take every other day, or they'll take it once a week. I think some people even take it only a few times a month. but obviously I don't really have anecdotes for that. I only took it every once in a while when I needed to be awake really early. I typically took it when I had to be awake at like 4 a.m. and like I had to go drive somewhere at 4 a.m. and I needed to be awake for the drive. That's typically the only time I would use it because it was so powerful that if I took it any other time, I just felt overwhelmed and anxious. Honestly, if I had DMHA in my formula, I would have GABA alongside of it to take off the edge because that's how powerful DMHA is to me. I think it's has great potential for persons with ADHD in the dopaminergic pathway, and I would honestly bet because it's so stimulating that it downregulates some. It might have some analgesic effects, meaning it might have some deactivation of pain receptors, maybe just a little bit, kind of like that idea that when you get so hyped up on adrenaline, you just don't even feel the pain, and then you notice that you're like, if you're in a fight or something, and then you notice all these bruises and stuff later, and you're like, oh wow, that was actually a much worse fight than I thought, or something like that. With adrenaline, I would imagine that the analgesic effects also play a role in DMAA and DMHA, simply because they're so powerful and can honestly make you ignore things like that. So maybe if the theory that ADHD affects the pain receptors in the brain, meaning that when people try to do things they find boring and they do not hyperfixate on, they don't want to do them and they find it almost painful or actually physically painful in their brain, maybe this could actually be a way to stop that. I don't know. I would be interested if people say that they maybe like cycle this with their other medication like Adderall to keep tolerances up. I know that a lot of people who take Adderall and things like Adderall, I've never taken it, and Vyvanse and things like that have to take different ones, different days sometimes, because otherwise they become so tolerant to the one drug that it doesn't even do anything anymore, and they either have to increase the dose or take a break, and then the withdrawals are crazy or some people have crazy withdrawals. I'm not entirely sure. Again, I've never taken anything like that hardcore, but I definitely would say DMAA and DMHA are some hardcore stimulants. I can understand why the FDA put legislation against them, but I also think that they have a place for lifters, and that's why they were there in the first place. It's because they were so powerful at helping people be stimulated to lift. Like I said, they were a kick in the teeth. I've tried both of them, DMAA and DMHA. Honestly, I've seen way stronger effects from DMHA than DMAA, but man, they're powerful. Overall, my opinion is that I think that these could have some potential effects for persons with ADHD, and I would like to see literature on it, even though I doubt that'll ever come to fruition unless some sort of company says, hey, maybe we can patent something that is a metabolite of DMA or something that's a breakdown of DMHA, and then we can sell it as a drug. I feel like that's the only time that we would ever actually see research between this and ADHD. But overall, I think it would be incredible to see a study on that, and I hope that you guys will respond in the comments and tell me what you think. So that is it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it. Please give this video a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and keep those shoulders back and down if you lift. And until next time, don't just have a good one, have a great one.